What happens when a cheeky 5-year-old royal takes the spotlight during a live Christmas carol service? Chaos, charm, and plenty of laughter. Prince Louis left everyone at Westminster Abbey stunned when he boldly snatched Queen Camilla's microphone mid-speech, catching the Queen Consort off guard and leaving her momentarily speechless. But here is the twist. What did this playful prince unknowingly reveal about the royal family in that unforgettable moment? Westminster Abbey, an enduring symbol of British history and tradition, stood bathed in golden light, ready to bid farewell to another year. Festive garlands of pine and holly adorned its hallowed halls, glowing in the flicker of countless candles. At the heart of the abbey, a towering Christmas tree sparkled with gold and silver ornaments, its branches cradling small tokens of gratitude from attendees, decorations inscribed with the names of those whose acts of kindness had touched lives over the past year. It was a scene of serene elegance, brimming with holiday spirit and royal sophistication. Yet, little did anyone know, a certain mischievous prince was about to transform this poised affair into an unforgettable evening. The carol service, meticulously organized by Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales and supported by the Royal Foundation, was a celebration of community, compassion, and resilience. It honored unsung heroes, healthcare workers, volunteers, and individuals who had spread kindness in challenging times. Among the 1,600 guests, the atmosphere was one of gratitude and reflection, setting the perfect stage for a memorable night. As the congregation settled into the Abbey's grand pews, the Dean of Westminster, the Very Reverend Dr. David Hoyle, began with heartfelt words of welcome and hope. The choir's angelic harmonies filled the sacred space, blending seamlessly with the majestic tones of the organ. Performances by renowned artists such as Gregory Porter, Paloma Faith, and Olivia Dean wove a magical thread through the evening, lifting spirits and evoking awe. The Christmas story unfolded with deep reverence, each reading adding to the night's significance. From the Prince of Wales's solemn recitation of Isaiah chapter 9 to Adam Pearson's emotive reading of Luke chapter 2, every moment carried the weight of tradition. At the heart of this grand spectacle, the royal family took their places with composed grace, most of them, at least. King Charles III and Queen Camilla exuded dignified presence, while Prince George and Princess Charlotte, poised beyond their years, participated in hymns and led carols beside their mother. But amidst the solemnity and grandeur, the youngest royal, 5-year-old Prince Louis, had different plans. Entering the abbey with his trademark cheeky grin and boundless energy, he immediately drew warm smiles from those familiar with his mischievous nature. Dressed in a perfectly tailored navy coat, Louis waved enthusiastically to familiar faces, whispering animatedly to his siblings, seemingly unaffected by the formal atmosphere surrounding him. Though the spotlight initially belonged to the performers, readers, and royal dignitaries, it quickly became evident that Prince Louis had a different plan that would ensure all eyes were on him. As the evening unfolded, Westminster Abbey radiated peace and unity, perfectly reflecting the event's themes of togetherness and hope. Yet, amidst the solemnity, it was young Prince Louis who brought an unexpected spark of spontaneity, transforming the evening in a way no one could have predicted. With wide-eyed curiosity, Louis observed the proceedings, seemingly uninterested in the choir's angelic harmonies or the moving speeches. Instead, his attention fixated on a far more intriguing target, the gleaming microphone perched at the lectern. It was a symbol of authority, and Louis, with his mischievous charm, appeared certain it deserved a moment in his hands. The evening was filled with unforgettable moments, from Michelle Dockery's emotive reading to Richard E. Grant's commanding voice, and a graceful ballet performance set to John Rutter's Colors of Christmas. Yet, despite the elegant formality of the occasion, there was an unspoken anticipation in the air. Perhaps it was Louis's lively energy or the collective understanding that even in the most regal of settings, moments of pure humanity often shine through. As the evening neared its crescendo, the stage was set for Queen Camilla's poignant address, a heartfelt reflection on unity and compassion. The audience leaned in, prepared for a solemn and meaningful conclusion. But before anyone could fully absorb the weight of the moment, Louis made his move. In a room filled with dignitaries, acclaimed performers, and royalty, it was a 5-year-old prince who seized the spotlight, transforming a traditional carol service into an unforgettable spectacle. Who could have predicted that the night's most memorable moment would come from the youngest member of the royal family? As the grand doors of Westminster Abbey swung open, the royal family entered with an air of measured grace. Each step was deliberate, each presence commanding. The procession carried the weight of centuries of tradition, setting the stage for an evening of reverence and festivity. Leading the way were King Charles III and Queen Camilla, their arrival marking the beginning of a cherished annual celebration. The king walked with quiet dignity, embodying the steadfastness of a monarchy that has endured the tests of time. Beside him, Queen Camilla exuded poise and elegance, her emerald coat a subtle nod to the season's warmth and vibrancy. Together, their presence underscored the significance of the occasion, casting a regal glow over the evening. Behind them followed the Prince and Princess of Wales, a couple whose blend of grace and relatability has captivated the public. Princess Catherine, the driving force behind the Together at Christmas Carol service, looked radiant in an elegant ensemble that reflected her role as the evening's host. Her warm smile and effortless charm as she greeted guests were a reminder of the event's focus on community, compassion, and connection. Walking beside her, Prince William exuded composure, nodding graciously to the congregation as they made their way to their seats. But it was their children who truly captivated the audience. Each young royal brought a unique charm to the event. Prince George, the eldest, displayed a maturity that belied his years, already carrying himself with the quiet assurance of a future king. George stepped forward to assist with hymn sheets and greet attendees, his demeanor reflecting the values of responsibility and service instilled in him from an early age. Princess Charlotte, ever poised and curious, walked hand in hand with her mother, her wide-eyed wonder evident as she gazed at the abbey's grand interior, its arches adorned with festive garlands. When the time came to join the carols, Charlotte sang with enthusiasm, her clear voice blending seamlessly with the choir's angelic harmonies. Her engagement brought a warmth and sincerity to the evening that resonated with everyone in attendance. Among the grandeur and poise of the royal gathering, it was Prince Louis, the youngest of the three, who stole the show. With his signature impish grin and an undeniable spark of mischief in his eyes, he waved enthusiastically to familiar faces in the crowd, his excitement bubbling over. Whispering animatedly to his siblings, he seemed blissfully unaffected by the formality of the event, his boundless energy drawing amused smiles from those who recognized the spirited charm of the youngest royal. While Prince George and Princess Charlotte carried themselves with the composed demeanor expected of royal children, George, the epitome of responsibility, and Charlotte, poised and attentive, it was Louis who brought an undeniable spark to the occasion. His playful energy served as a delightful reminder that even amid centuries-old traditions, the innocence of childhood has a way of shining through. As Queen Camilla stepped forward to deliver her address, Westminster Abbey fell into a hushed silence. But for Prince Louis, the gleaming microphone at the lectern seemed less like a tool for solemn speeches and more like an irresistible beacon of curiosity. In a moment that could only be described as quintessentially Louis, the little prince slipped from his seat with the confidence only a child can muster, made his way to the lectern, and confidently grasped the microphone, forever transforming the evening's narrative. Muffled, stifled chuckles turned into open smiles, and within moments, the most formal guests found themselves grinning at the impromptu performance. Completely unbothered by the laughter he had inspired, Louis gestured enthusiastically toward the audience, pointing at the grand decorations and mimicking the exaggerated movements of the choir conductor. Princess Charlotte pressed a hand to her mouth, struggling to contain her giggles, while George's initial exasperation gave way to quiet amusement. From their seats, Prince William and Princess Catherine exchanged amused glances, equal parts humor and parental resignation, as they watched their youngest son effortlessly steal the spotlight. Catherine leaned toward William, her lips curving into a knowing smile, and whispered something that made him chuckle softly before she rose gracefully to intervene. With the practiced patience of a seasoned mother, Catherine approached the lectern, her expression warm yet firm. "Let us save your big speech for next time, Louis," she said gently, crouching to meet her son's mischievous gaze. She took his hand with a soft smile, her tone laced with affection. Louis hesitated for a moment, glancing longingly back at the microphone as if considering another attempt to make his mark. But with a giggle that rippled through the abbey, he relented, allowing Catherine to guide him back to his seat. Despite the unscheduled interruption, Queen Camilla handled the moment with poise and humor. Once the microphone was hers again, she bent slightly, her eyes twinkling as she addressed Louis directly. "Shall we let Granny Camilla have her turn now?" she teased, her gentle tone eliciting more laughter from the audience. The Queen Consort's playful response transformed the unexpected moment into one of warmth and relatability, diffusing any lingering awkwardness. Louis, now back in his seat, seemed entirely unfazed by the attention. He hummed softly to himself, swinging his legs in perfect innocence as though nothing unusual had happened. The Abbey, once steeped in solemn tradition, now carried an unmistakable air of light-hearted joy. The audience, initially caught off guard, embraced the spontaneity of the moment, finding in Louis's antics a refreshing reminder of life's delightful unpredictability within the structured world of royalty. As the service continued, the memory of Louis's impromptu act lingered, casting a glow over the proceedings. The laughter, the humanity, and Queen Camilla's graceful handling of the situation offered a glimpse into a monarchy evolving to balance tradition with modernity, a legacy where even the youngest member can remind the world of the joy found in the unexpected. Queen Camilla's composure during Prince Louis's impromptu performance was nothing short of remarkable, showcasing her evolving grace and relatability that have become hallmarks of her time as queen consort. For years, Camilla's role within the monarchy was under a magnifying glass, every gesture scrutinized through the lens of past controversies and future expectations. Yet in moments like this, she demonstrated the depth of her character, proving her ability to balance tradition with a touch of modern humanity. Her reaction to Louis's playful antics was not just a recovery, it was a masterclass in turning the unexpected into something endearing. As laughter rippled through Westminster Abbey, it became clear that Camilla's lighthearted handling of the situation had won over the room. Her gentle jest toward Louis, "Shall we let Granny Camilla have her turn now?" not only diffused the moment, but also infused it with warmth. It was a reminder that even amid centuries-old traditions, there is room for spontaneity and humor. But what truly captured the audience was the family's collective dynamic, a display of authenticity that resonated far beyond the Abbey's walls. Princess Charlotte, seated next to Louis, valiantly tried to maintain her composure. She pressed her hand to her mouth, her sparkling eyes betraying her barely contained giggles. Beside her, Prince George initially wore the expression of an exasperated older sibling, silently willing his younger brother to behave. Yet even he could not resist Louis's charm, and a small, reluctant smile eventually played on his lips. From their seats, Prince William and Princess Catherine exchanged a knowing glance, a universal look of parents trying to stifle laughter while their child upends decorum. It was a look that conveyed both mild embarrassment and an undeniable sense of pride. Catherine's gentle intervention, steering Louis back to his seat with an affectionate smile, further highlighted the family's grounded nature. This moment of levity was not just a fleeting distraction. It offered a glimpse into the humanity of a family often shrouded in formality. Charlotte's giggles, George's smirk, and Catherine's calm parenting underscored the warmth that defines their relationships. For Camilla, it was a moment that showcased her confidence not just as a queen consort, but as a step-grandmother navigating the intricacies of a modern royal family. Blending families under the public eye requires patience, empathy, and adaptability. Over the years, Queen Camilla has carefully nurtured her relationships with Prince William, Princess Catherine, and their children. This moment with Prince Louis offered a rare and heartwarming glimpse into the affection and mutual respect that define these bonds. Her ability to engage with Louis on his level while upholding the dignity of her role highlighted her nuanced understanding of what it means to navigate the monarchy in a changing world. It was not just about maintaining decorum, it was about demonstrating the balance between tradition and humanity. As Camilla gracefully resumed her speech, the Abbey began to settle into a calm rhythm, yet the laughter and warmth sparked by Louis's antics lingered, casting a glow that softened the formality of the evening. Her carefully chosen words, already imbued with meaning, seemed even more poignant in light of the moment. She spoke of kindness, patience, and the importance of human connection, themes that now resonated on a deeper level. The audience, still smiling from the unexpected levity, listened with heightened attentiveness, finding the evening's message all the more authentic and relatable. As the service continued, it became clear that Louis's unscripted act had added an unforgettable layer of spontaneity and joy to an already meaningful event. The moment, while lighthearted, had a surprising impact. It reminded everyone, both those in attendance and those watching from afar, that even within the grandeur of royal tradition, there is room for laughter and lightness. This small act of childlike curiosity bridged the often imposing gap between the royal family and the public. In an era where institutions face mounting scrutiny, the royal family's ability to connect with people on a personal level has never been more important. Louis's moments of exuberance not only endear him to the public but also play a significant role in bridging the gap between the grandeur of tradition and the realities of modern family life. Through his unfiltered actions, the public glimpses a side of the monarchy that is rarely seen: a family that laughs, teases, and occasionally navigates the delightful chaos of raising children. Moments like these offer a refreshing counterbalance to the institution's formal image, ensuring it remains relatable and grounded. Louis, with his playful charisma, has emerged as a key figure in this shift to young royal whose innocent antics remind the world that even the most traditional institutions can find joy and spontaneity. Prince Louis's playful moment reminded us all that even the most formal traditions have room for authenticity and joy. These unscripted moments are what make the royal family feel so relatable. What do you think? Do moments like these help modernize the monarchy while keeping its traditions alive? Share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more royal stories and behind-the-scenes moments. On the 9th of January, an important event for the British royal family takes place. Kate Middleton turns 43. This is her first birthday since being diagnosed with cancer, making it one of the most significant and emotional milestones of her life. This occasion is meaningful not only for her but also for her loved ones, who have endured difficult times over the past year. However, this date also coincides with the funeral of the former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, who passed away at the age of 100 on the 29th of December, 2024. It was expected that Prince William would represent the British monarchy in Washington to pay tribute to Carter, as other members of the royal family have done in the past. Nevertheless, Prince William made a monumental decision that shocked everyone. On Kate's birthday, he made an immediate request to his father-in-law, David Mellor, to attend instead of him. This request had a profound impact, leading to Queen Camilla being excluded from the birthday celebrations. This last-minute news left everyone stunned. Despite the widespread awareness of Kate's birthday and her battle with cancer, this development may have come as a surprise to many, as it was revealed only recently. As always, we bring you first-hand information. Kate's ongoing fight against cancer and her ability to live happily and joyfully at 43 shows her strength. The celebration, however, was interrupted by William's request, which has caused a significant stir in the royal family. Prince Edward, the monarch's younger brother, will attend a religious service in William's place, highlighting the importance of family for the prince and his wife on this meaningful day, especially after Kate's successful completion of her chemotherapy course last September. Moreover, Prince Edward will travel to Washington without his wife, Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and will be accompanied by prominent figures, including all 5 living U.S. presidents. This situation underscores how the royal family prioritizes family moments, with a decision to send someone else to the U.S. for Carter's funeral and focus on Kate's birthday instead. Kate Middleton has always strived to lead a modest and reserved life. Despite being married to one of the wealthiest people on the planet, she prefers not to have domestic help for most household tasks and only employs one nanny for all 3 of her children. She also lives in a relatively modest home, showing the kind of austerity the public expected from the Prince and Princess of Wales, particularly following the economic crisis caused by the pandemic. It's said that Kate organized a beautiful dinner for her birthday, inviting nearly all the members of the British royal family, except for 2. One of those excluded was Prince Andrew, with whom Prince William is known to have strained relations. The other person not invited was none other than Queen Camilla Parker Bowles herself. She was notably absent from the event at Kensington Palace to celebrate Kate's birthday. The situation is further complicated by Queen Camilla's repeated clashes with Kate Middleton, especially when Kate was first diagnosed with cancer. Rumors suggest that Kate expressed a desire not to have Camilla at her birthday celebrations. There were even expectations that the party would include a live video call from Prince Harry, which, if it had happened, would likely have upset Queen Camilla. At present, it remains unconfirmed whether Harry participated in the birthday event via video call, especially since he may have been evacuated from his home in Montecito, California, due to the ongoing wildfires in the region. In addition, a letter from King Charles III has been revealed, which contains an emotional and sensitive side of the king touching many people. However, Queen Camilla remains extremely unhappy with the situation, and reports suggest that the Christmas holidays have been particularly difficult for her. In light of the growing tension, we invite you to comment on who you prefer, Queen Camilla or Princess Diana. Let's continue the conversation in the comments section. The production team is keen to learn what exactly in King Charles III's letter has moved so many in Wales and angered Queen Camilla, who is reportedly struggling with pneumonia and now with feelings of anger and jealousy. Orlando from our editorial team reports this news in detail, explaining that it relates to the death of Lady Diana on the 31st of August, 1997, a tragic event that shook the world and left a void in King Charles's life. The letter, written by Charles in December of that year and recently sold at auction for £2,000, reveals his deep sorrow following the loss of Princess Diana. In it, he expressed an unbearable emptiness, a grief shared with someone who had also lost a spouse. Handwritten on House of Lords stationery, the letter reflects his Christian faith, quoting a Bible passage. "Now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face." This rare, emotional acknowledgement from the current king emphasizes his confusion and sadness over the loss of someone as young as Lady Diana, who left behind her children, William and Harry, who were just 15 and 12 at the time. Although it is unclear who purchased the letter, its content remains striking in its vulnerability, revealing a more human side of the monarch. It demonstrates the profound pain caused by Diana's death, which continues to affect King Charles III. This has led to speculation about the complex emotions that the king's actions toward his late wife might have stirred, especially considering the deep admiration he had for her even after their separation. The letter highlights the enormous pain caused by Diana's death, a sentiment shared not only by the king but also by Camilla, who continues to grapple with the shadow of a woman who will always shine brightly in the public eye. Queen Camilla reportedly feels insulted by King Charles's behavior, particularly his public displays of affection toward his late wife, Diana. Despite the challenges, the Queen is said to be struggling with both pneumonia and her jealousy toward Diana's enduring legacy. What do you think of this situation? Should King Charles III feel regret for his actions, or is it something he can't change? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more updates. Prince Harry has just revealed an incredible family tragedy, one that could alter everything we know about the royal family. It's not just a fleeting impression, it's a secret, a betrayal, and the kind of royal drama that might change the future of the monarchy forever. But what exactly happened behind palace walls, and how has this tragedy affected Harry, his family, and their future? You won't want to miss the outcome. The drama started with a whispered fragment of an interview leak that caused a stir on the internet, sending shockwaves through both royal watchers and the public. According to insiders, Prince Harry sat down with someone he fully trusted, someone he felt secure enough to share his truth with, without filters. But this wasn't just another conversation about his struggles with the royal family or the challenges of life in the spotlight. This time, the tone was different. Sources claimed that Harry appeared emotional, almost on the verge of tears, as he spoke about a moment from his past that had haunted him for decades. It wasn't just a family conflict or a dispute about royal protocol, it was something so heavy that it seemed almost incomprehensible. Yet, it was enough to plunge the media and fans into a frenzy of speculation. What could be so devastating that it left Harry, typically composed even in his most vulnerable interviews, so deeply affected? This personal and deeply intimate moment, which someone decided to leak to the public, has become a mystery in itself. The leak alone was enough to keep people on edge, constantly refreshing their feeds, searching for more information. In the clip, Harry reportedly said something that caught everyone off guard. "It's something I've carried with me for years. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but now it all makes sense." These simple but meaningful words were enough to spark a multitude of theories. What could have been so significant and transformative to shake Harry to his core? And what did he reveal in this deeply emotional moment that had remained hidden for so long? The leak has left more questions than answers, and the royal family, as always, remains silent. You will not believe what happened when the camera kept rolling, and a leading figure in the palace made a move that took everyone by surprise. The royal household tried to keep it under wraps, but word got out, and now the country is buzzing with questions. Prepare for a wild ride as we uncover every twist and turn behind this hidden clip that shook the monarchy to its core. It all started on a quiet afternoon in one of the lesser-known wings of Buckingham Palace. Queen Camilla was there for a routine discussion with staff members about upcoming charity events and ceremonial gatherings. Everyone assumed it would be a typical session, light chatter, schedules laid out on the table, and her usual gentle reminder about finishing tasks on time. Yet something felt different that day. According to one of the staff members who later shared anonymous hints with the press, Queen Camilla was apparently in high spirits, talking excitedly about her latest reading project and upcoming public appearances. While most staff members took notes with full concentration, one person in the room had a phone left on the table, possibly by accident. This phone was still recording, though no one realized it. In the bustle of palace life, phones and other devices are usually kept away to ensure privacy in sensitive conversations. But on this particular day, either by mishap or intention, this simple rule was forgotten. At first, the conversation seemed harmless. They discussed the details of a charity fundraiser and formal invitations. Queen Camilla spoke about wanting to highlight local artisans at an upcoming event. People chimed in with ideas on how they could incorporate community projects. Nobody suspected that a recording was underway. Then, according to the staff member's account, the Queen consort began mentioning a certain personal matter regarding King Charles's health and the family's growing concern about his demanding schedule. She seemed more open than usual, possibly assuming she was in a comfortable and private setting. Perhaps the most peculiar part was the presence of a person who quietly observed from the back. Some believe this individual might have been a new assistant or a discreet figure from an outside agency handling press relations. They did not speak, but they seemed focused, like they were waiting for the right moment. Later, many wondered if that silent individual had known that the phone was recording. Rumors spread that this visitor had something to gain from a leaked conversation. Hours later, as people in the palace wound down for the evening, whispers spread through the corridors. The gist was that something major had happened and the Queen consort had no idea. You can imagine the hush that fell as staff members started hearing that a secret recording might exist. Some dismissed it as mere gossip, but in royal circles, even baseless chatter can cause panic because even the slightest rumor can make global headlines. According to sources, the owner of the mystery phone quietly slipped away to a private area and then replayed the recorded audio. By chance or by plan, they discovered they had much more than casual background noise on tape. One snippet allegedly included remarks about King Charles feeling pressured by health concerns, plus mentions of private family matters regarding future events. Had it stopped there, it might not have been so shocking. But the recording apparently continued, capturing Queen Camilla hinting at deeper tensions behind the scenes. Some claim she mentioned how certain family members felt overlooked amidst the chaos of royal duties or how unconfirmed details about King Charles's well-being were putting stress on daily life. While none of these topics were particularly shocking on their own, hearing them firsthand from a senior royal made them extraordinarily powerful. The staff member with the phone realized they had a golden opportunity. According to rumors, this individual wrestled with whether to keep the recording hidden or to share it with someone influential, perhaps a palace insider or even a media contact. Some stories suggest they hesitated. Others claim they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Either way, that evening marked a pivotal moment. The next morning, the situation escalated. An unnamed official at Buckingham Palace heard chatter that a staff member was offering an audio clip to outsiders. Allegedly, they had reached out to a freelance journalist known for breaking high-profile stories. People described the official as pale with alarm as they rushed to convene an emergency meeting with palace advisors. In a monarchy where image and trust are paramount, anything that even hints at a secret leak can be catastrophic. Damage control began immediately. First, an internal inquiry was launched to determine who might have made the recording and what exactly was on it. Tensions flared among staff members. Nobody wanted to be implicated in the scandal. Each palace team member was quietly asked if they had noticed anything unusual during or after Queen Camilla's meeting, but as expected, not everyone was eager to talk. Meanwhile, a separate team of trusted advisors was tasked with one crucial job: keeping Queen Camilla calm. She had to be informed, but only with the facts necessary to manage any potential fallout. Sharing too much too soon might cause panic, and the monarchy rarely acts in haste. If the recording contained remarks about King Charles's health concerns, even small details could spark massive headlines. The palace wanted to avoid that at all costs. When Queen Camilla finally learned exactly how her private words could become front-page news, her immediate reaction was said to be deep disappointment. She was not enraged, nor did she have a dramatic outburst, at least not in front of others. Sources say she remained calm, trusting her advisors to handle the official response. But behind her composed exterior, there was a private sense of pain. She had spent years building trust and a softer public image as King Charles's partner, and any scandal like this could undo her progress. The audio snippet reportedly did not contain any major offense or shocking detail. What worried her was the idea that the monarchy's private matters, particularly King Charles's health and internal family discussions, could become public gossip. In her eyes, this threatened the unity they had worked so hard to project. Meanwhile, palace officials weighed their options. A lawsuit for breach of confidentiality was on the table, but that carried its own risks. Any public legal action might draw even more attention to the scandal. One idea was to release a brief statement mentioning that an internal matter had been resolved, without giving specifics. Another option was for Queen Camilla to appear in a controlled interview, stating that any private conversation was never meant to mislead or alarm the public. King Charles, despite concerns about his health, stood firmly by Queen Camilla's side. He reportedly insisted that no hush money be paid, as it would compromise the monarchy's integrity. Some insiders admired his moral stance, while others worried that refusing a settlement could provoke the staffer to release even more content. Ultimately, this entire episode serves as a stark reminder of how easily a single misstep can shake the royal institution. One phone left running, one ambitious staffer looking for an advantage, that was all it took to create chaos. Queen Camilla, caught off guard by the secret recording, discovered yet another layer of vulnerability in royal life. This scandal also highlights the ongoing struggle between tradition and transparency. The monarchy has historically kept its private matters hidden, revealing only carefully curated information to the public. But in an age of smartphones and instant uploads, secrecy is nearly impossible to maintain. As Queen Camilla continues to modernize the monarchy while preserving its traditions, this incident will serve as a lasting lesson. In the digital age, privacy is never guaranteed. Prince Harry's life has never been ordinary. From his childhood in the British royal family to his service in the military, his journey has been filled with public attention and personal struggles. Known for his charismatic and rebellious character, Harry faced both the pressures of the public eye and his own private issues. But no one could have predicted the events that would shake the foundations of the royal family and change his future forever. At the age of 40, Prince Harry finally confessed to something many had long suspected. But before we find out what he said, let's take a step back and explore the past to understand how it all unfolded. The troubled marriage of Diana and Charles was one of the most talked about unions of the 20th century. Their relationship seemed to have all the ingredients of a fairy tale, but quickly turned into a public and painful spectacle. Diana, a young woman with little experience in royal life, married Charles, the heir to the British throne. The wedding, watched by millions around the world, was a grand event, and everyone saw it as a fairy tale romance. However, behind the polished image was the harsh reality of the relationship, which soon became far from ideal. Diana quickly learned that Charles remained emotionally attached to Camilla Parker Bowles, someone he had known before meeting Diana. Camilla, an aristocrat with more experience in royal circles, had caught Charles's attention long before Diana. Despite her love for Charles, Diana soon realized that her husband was unwilling to sever ties with Camilla. Charles continued to secretly meet with her, which deeply hurt Diana. Over the years, the tension of this love triangle became more public, especially as the media began to take an increasing interest in their private lives. Diana, once known for her grace and kindness, began to show signs of emotional distress. Her pain became more evident, and her relationship with Charles grew more distant. The media closely followed every move of the couple, and it soon became clear that the relationship between them had deteriorated. Charles, who was increasingly focused on his relationship with Camilla, left Diana to continue with her royal duties, despite the turmoil in her personal life. In 1992, Diana released the book Diana, Her True Story, written by journalist Andrew Morton, where she shared her side of the story and opened up about her struggles and emotional turmoil during her marriage to Charles. The book shocked the world, revealing the emotional upheaval Diana had experienced and the details of Charles's affair with Camilla. The royal family, already under intense scrutiny, could no longer ignore the growing rift between the couple. Diana and Charles officially separated, though they did not divorce, and their relationship was effectively over. The separation marked a major turning point for both parties, and the royal family, despite its efforts to maintain a united public front, could no longer shield itself from the increasing public discontent. Diana remained beloved by the public, and her popularity grew after the divorce, while Charles continued his relationship with Camilla. In 1996, their divorce was finalized, marking the end of a turbulent chapter in the lives of both. After the divorce, Diana's life continued to attract intense public attention, and her personal life became even more of a topic for discussion. One of the most talked about aspects of her post-marriage life was her affair with James Hewitt, a former British Army officer. Their romance, which began during Diana's marriage, was seen by many as her way of getting back at Charles for his affair with Camilla. James, whom Diana had met while still married to Charles, became her emotional support during a time when she felt isolated and abandoned by her husband. Although their relationship was initially kept secret, it soon became public knowledge, and the media eagerly followed their every move. James, initially unaware of the full weight of his position, soon found himself under the microscope. as the couple struggled with the pressures of being in the public eye. Their romance became one of the most discussed aspects of Diana's life, with many viewing it as her way of taking control of her own narrative and asserting her right to love, especially after years of emotional pain caused by Charles's betrayal. By the early 1990s, Diana and James's relationship began to cool, and by 1992 it had officially ended. However, the romance had played a significant role in Diana's life, giving her the opportunity to regain her sense of self-worth and take control of her own happiness. What challenges did she face during her marriage to Charles after her relationship with Diana ended? James briefly returned to his military career before moving on to other endeavors. Like many others connected to Diana, he became part of her story. After her divorce from Charles, their relationship, though ending years before Diana's tragic death, became a symbol of her search for love, happiness, and emotional self-realization. But there was one undeniable element that haunted the entire British monarchy. Rumors that stemmed from the complex relationships within the royal family, especially from the personal struggles that Charles and Diana went through. While the world focused on the dramatic collapse of their marriage, the consequences for their children, especially Harry, were deep. The divorce, Charles's affair with Camilla, and the subsequent split left an indelible mark on young Harry. He was born in 1984, becoming the second son of Charles and Diana. His older brother, William, was born 2 years earlier. Despite their privileged position, the children were not immune to the tensions in the family. Their parents had always had a strained relationship, but when details of Charles's affair with Camilla and the breakdown of their marriage became public, it was a shock to the royal family and profoundly impacted the children. For Harry, the news of his father's infidelity became not just a cause for public embarrassment, it was a personal betrayal. Although he didn't fully understand the complexities of his parents' marriage, the changes happening around him were palpable. The emotional pain Diana had already suffered, having endured years of isolation and neglect in her marriage to Charles, was also evident to Harry and his brother. They felt that their family was no longer the unified front it once seemed to be. As the breakdown of the marriage became more public, the media's attention on Diana's personal life, including her mental health struggles and infidelities, exacerbated the situation for the children. They were too young to fully grasp the emotional complexity of the situation, but they could feel the tension and the changes in family dynamics. Harry was around 10 years old when his parents officially separated in 1992, and it was a painful time that left a lasting impact on him. Harry struggled to reconcile the image of his father, the future king, with the reality of a man who had betrayed his mother. While William, the older brother, often took on the role of defender of the family, Harry was more inclined to rebellion. His behavior became increasingly difficult for those around him. As a child, he found it hard to accept his parents' divorce, especially the fact that his father had been unfaithful to Diana. The divorce, finalized in 1996, became a highly public affair, and discussions about it in the media only intensified the pressure on the children, who found themselves at the center of it all. Rumors about Harry's paternity, particularly the theory that James Hewitt, a British Army officer and Diana's former lover, could be his biological father, surfaced soon after the divorce. This was a sensational theory that gained traction due to the resemblance between Harry and James. Harry and James did indeed share similar physical traits, especially in their youth, and the media widely promoted these rumors, making life even more difficult for Harry, who was already dealing with the heavy burden of public life. The rumors about his paternity continued to follow Harry for many years, and at one point, the prince himself began to question whether there was any truth to these speculations. However, by 2014, as events unfolded, Harry finally acknowledged that Diana's romance with Hewitt began only after he was born, making it biologically impossible for James to be his father. Harry publicly stated that the rumors about James were baseless and that his biological father was, of course, Prince Charles. Nevertheless, despite this official statement, the rumors persisted, and Harry was forced to take legal action against the press, which continued to spread false information about his paternity. This lawsuit was a direct response to the ongoing speculation, which, as it turned out, caused him significant emotional distress. Although the rumors about James Hewitt were debunked, they continue to haunt him to this day. The friendship between Princess Diana and Elton John was a rare and beautiful bond built on mutual understanding and a shared desire to make the world a better place. While their public connection brought moments of joy and camaraderie, their personal struggles often mirrored each other in ways the world could not even imagine. Their story, From an impromptu first dance to the heartbreak of separation and the tragic reconciliation that came too late is one of loyalty and the enduring impact of a woman's legacy. Having endured triumph and tragedy, their bond not only shaped their lives but also left an indelible mark on history. It all began at a party celebrating the first birthday of Prince Andrew in the year 1981, a grand event meant to showcase the family's wealth. Chandeliers sparkled in the ballroom, and sophisticated conversations filled the air, but the guests adhered rigidly to decorum, perfecting their smiles and carefully planning their movements. Diana was beautiful and young, only a few weeks away from her wedding to Prince Charles. However, she was a young woman grappling with the enormous expectations that came with her new role. Though she appeared composed, Elton John, already a global superstar at the time, stood out in the royal crowd. Known for his eccentric outfits and larger-than-life personality, he felt stifled in such an environment. He attended out of respect for his connections to the royal family but could not help but wish for a moment of fun. Diana approached him with a playful glance as the orchestra began playing a lively Charleston. She extended her hand to Elton, shocking everyone in the room. What happened next was pure magic. They danced and laughed as if they were the only ones in the ballroom. Their spontaneity disrupted the formal atmosphere of the evening, causing some to watch in amusement and others in disapproval. For Diana, it was a moment of freedom, a small rebellion against the rigid rules of royal life. For Elton, it was a lesson that happiness and connection could be found in the most unexpected places. From that moment, they became close friends. They bonded over their love for the silly things in life and found comfort in each other's company. Diana was still adjusting to public life, but she felt that Elton understood how difficult it was to be famous. Elton, in turn, admired Diana's kindness and her ability to connect with people on a deep level despite her high status. However, their friendship was not just about laughter and fun. They both carried emotional wounds that few could truly comprehend. Diana struggled to come to terms with her engagement to Charles. Their relationship had been complicated from the beginning, marked by emotional distance and misunderstanding. The fairy tales she had been promised increasingly felt like a gilded cage. Elton, on the other hand, battled personal demons, including drug addiction and the immense pressure of fame. Over the following years, their bond deepened. They often spoke on the phone late into the night, with Diana confiding in Elton about her struggles. She spoke openly about her pain, anger, and battle with bulimia, triggered by the unrealistic expectations placed upon her by the media and the royal family. Elton listened without judgment, offering understanding and empathy. The world expected him to be perfect at all times, so he knew what it felt like to be trapped by expectations. These conversations were not just about support, they were deeply personal. In Diana, Elton saw a reflection of his own struggles, and their friendship became a lifeline for both of them. She was the one person who could see beyond his flamboyant stage persona and recognize his true self. Diana, in turn, found someone who saw her not just as a princess, but as a person trying to find her place in a world that could often be cruel. The world took notice as their friendship grew stronger. Whether they were laughing together at a charity event or attending a glamorous party, their bond was obvious to everyone. However, their relationship was far more complex than the smiles and waves suggested. As Diana's life became increasingly difficult, her marriage to Charles crumbled, and her struggles with mental health deepened under the immense pressures of being a princess. Despite all of these challenges, Elton was one of the few people she felt truly understood her, and their time together gave her a sense of stability that she had long sought. However, as their connection grew, external forces sought to drive them apart. Diana's rising fame and her willingness to challenge royal traditions created tension. Elton had his own battles during the 1980s. He faced dark times as he struggled with drug addiction and the burden of maintaining his public image. Despite everything, their friendship remained strong, a rare bright spot in a difficult decade. By the end of the 1980s, their friendship had become a symbol of their shared compassion and ability to connect with ordinary people. Even as personal challenges mounted, Elton remained one of the most influential artists of his time. Together, they seemed invincible and their bond remained strong. But as the pressures in their lives intensified, cracks began to form. They had already faced difficulties, but they had no idea that the real tests were yet to come. As Diana's life transformed from the joyful aftermath of a fairy tale wedding into the challenges of being a princess, her relationship with Elton deepened. By the mid-1980s, Diana was no longer the wide-eyed young woman stepping into a magical world. She had become a global icon, admired for her poise and kindness, yet privately struggling with immense personal difficulties. She felt the weight of royal expectations pressing down on her, and it became increasingly difficult to hide the fractures in her marriage to Charles. Elton saw in Diana's rise to fame echoes of his own past, remembering what it felt like to be adored by the public while suffering privately. He understood the loneliness that came with constant scrutiny and the pressure to maintain a perfect image. Their friendship had formed at a time when they both felt vulnerable, making their bond even stronger. They often joked about how absurd their public roles were, seeing in each other a rare opportunity to step away from their carefully curated public personas and simply be themselves. But behind the scenes, Diana's struggles grew more serious. At the time, her battle with bulimia was a closely guarded secret, but it revealed just how much the pressure to be perfect weighed on her. During their late-night conversations, she shared with Elton her deepest fears and frustrations, emotions she could not express within the palace walls. For Diana, these candid conversations were a lifeline, a way to escape the isolation of being a princess. For Elton, who battled his own demons, their connection was equally vital. Theirs was a friendship built on understanding and unwavering support for one another. By the late 1980s, Diana's work with charities had made her even more beloved. Public perception of the monarchy was shifting because of her visits to hospitals, her advocacy for acquired immune deficiency syndrome awareness, and her ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Elton admired her courage and compassion, often lending his voice to support her causes. He saw her as more than just a princess, saw her as a good person in a world where so many simply did not care. However, their friendship was not without its ups and downs. As Diana's fame grew, so did the problems within her marriage and the royal family. Prince Charles had been raised within the rigid traditions of the monarchy, making it difficult for him to understand how Diana's warmth and public presence contrasted with the reserved image expected of the royal family. Even at events meant to highlight his work, she often outshined him. This imbalance made life more difficult for Diana, both in her marriage and in her friendships. Elton's bold style and strong political views made him a controversial figure in royal circles. Some members of the royal family viewed their relationship as problematic. Though Charles admired Diana's willingness to challenge the status quo, he struggled to reconcile it with the monarchy's traditions. During the 1980s, acquired immune deficiency syndrome was still a highly taboo subject, making Elton's activism both groundbreaking and controversial. Diana shared his concern for marginalized communities and was drawn to his confidence, even when it clashed with royal expectations. One project that was especially important to Elton put a strain on their friendship. He was working on a coffee table book featuring photographs of celebrities, with proceeds going to his acquired immune deficiency syndrome foundation. Diana had agreed to write the introduction, a move that would bring significant attention to the cause. Elton was thrilled, knowing her involvement would add credibility to an issue that many still refused to acknowledge. However, just as the idea began gaining momentum, Diana abruptly withdrew her support. Elton was shocked and hurt by her choice, which was allegedly influenced by Charles and other royal advisors. The sudden breakup seemed like a betrayal to the man who had stood by her during the most difficult times. He knew that Diana was under immense stress, but it was still painful for him to lose her support on a matter that was so important to him. Diana also struggled with her decision to step away. She felt torn because she had to balance her duty to the royal family with her love for Elton. She distanced herself not because she did not care about Elton but because the palace was increasingly controlling her life. However, the consequences were still significant. They stopped calling each other as often as before, and Elton felt the emptiness left by Diana's absence in his life. As a result, they both had a hard time. Diana's personal struggles worsened as her marriage fell apart, and the press never stopped focusing on her. Elton, too, faced his own issues. It was difficult for him to find a balance between the pain of their separation and the understanding of the stress she was under. Their relationship, which had once brought them comfort, now felt like another thing that had to be sacrificed because of the strict royal system. At the beginning of the 1990s, they lived parallel but different lives. Diana's humanitarian work continued to make headlines, especially her efforts to make acquired immune deficiency syndrome a less taboo topic and her groundbreaking trip to Angola to bring attention to landmines. Elton, on the other hand, channeled his energy into music and activism, using his fame to advocate for greater understanding and kindness. Despite the distance between them, signs of their connection remained. Elton often spoke fondly of Diana in interviews, and Diana continued to admire his artistry. Although their relationship was under strain, their bond was always stronger than it seemed. The love and respect they had for each other never faded. They were simply waiting for the right moment to express it again. They could not have imagined that the ups and downs of life would soon bring them together once more. At the start of the 1990s, Diana and Elton experienced significant changes. Diana's divorce was no longer a private matter. It became a public spectacle covered on the front pages of newspapers worldwide. Elton struggled with addiction and the pressures of his career. Even though they were no longer close, their lives continued to show their individual strength. Each of them battled the pressures of fame and expectations, and the space between them felt like an unspoken sorrow. Elton always admired Diana's courage and kindness, and he was saddened that they no longer shared a strong bond. Diana, too, felt the loss of a friend who had been a rare source of solace in her chaotic life. However, the events that led to their separation were not fully resolved. Diana was doing much good for others, but she was also beginning to discover a new identity beyond the royal family. Her work in raising awareness about acquired immune deficiency syndrome became even more recognized, and she made headlines for her compassionate acts such as hugging a patient with acquired immune deficiency syndrome while visiting a hospital. These actions challenged stigma and changed public perception. Elton often thought of the woman he had once danced with many years ago. He admired her compassion and determination, and both of them cared deeply about these issues. It was undeniable Diana and Elton were alike. Despite their disagreements and struggles, they both knew what it was like to be misunderstood and to have people scrutinize them as they tried to make a difference. As similar as they were, their paths had diverged. Elton was always outspoken and unafraid to fight for what he believed in. He often thought about their friendship behind closed doors, wondering if they would ever become close again. The first few years of the decade were difficult for Diana, as her separation from Charles became public knowledge. She attracted even more media attention, and every detail of her personal life was exposed. The constant scrutiny affected her health and made her feel even more isolated. Despite all these hardships, she remained committed to using her fame for good. Although Diana's personal struggles worsened, Elton was going through his own transformation. He began rebuilding his life with a new sense of purpose after taking steps to address his problems. His music continued to inspire people around the world, and he became even more committed to helping others. When, in the year 1992, Elton John founded the Elton John Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome Foundation, it became a key part of his fight against the shame surrounding the disease. In many ways, his activism mirrored Diana's. They both sought to break societal norms and draw attention to issues that were often ignored. Although they were not as close, they still respected each other. Elton was deeply moved by Diana's fearless efforts to break barriers and followed her work from afar. Diana admired Elton's determination and his ability to use his fame to change lives for the better. But their pride and the events that led to their falling out kept them apart. The turning point came in the year 1997, leading to tragic consequences that neither of them could have foreseen. Gianni Versace was a friend to both of them, and his death shocked and saddened them. For the first time in years, it brought them together, forcing them to confront their grief and the silence between them. Diana and Elton sat next to each other at Versace's funeral in Milan. Because of the solemn nature of the event, there was little time for conversation, but their shared sorrow spoke volumes. During a quiet moment in the service, Elton reached out and placed his hand on Diana's. It was a small gesture, but it carried the weight of years of unspoken emotions. It was a silent acknowledgement of their bond and the pain of their separation. After the service, they spoke briefly, their words a mix of sadness and relief. Diana told Elton how sorry she was that they had fallen out, and he replied that their friendship had always meant a great deal to him. It was a moment of peace that neither had planned, but both had desperately needed. Even though their time together was brief, it was enough to restore the love and understanding that had always been a part of their relationship. They had no idea that it would be the last time they would see each other. A few weeks later, Diana's tragic death in a horrific car accident in Paris shocked the entire world. People everywhere were devastated by the loss of the woman they called the People's Princess. The news was especially heartbreaking for Elton Somion, who had been inspired by her kindness and strength for so many years. In the days following her death, Elton felt like he had lost everything. He had finally reconciled with her, only to have her taken away so suddenly. As the world mourned, Elton decided to honor Diana in the only way he knew how. While the streets were filled with sorrow and disbelief, he was in shock at how the world had lost one of its greatest lights, a woman whose kindness transcended all boundaries. When preparations for Diana's funeral began, Elton was asked to do something deeply personal, to perform a tribute during the service. It was a great honor but also an overwhelming challenge. It was an incredibly significant moment, and he struggled to find the right words to express his emotions. After speaking with his longtime partner Bernie Taupin, they decided to rewrite the lyrics of Candle in the Wind, originally written in honor of Marilyn Monroe. The new version, titled Goodbye England's Rose, became a tribute to Diana and a song that conveyed the depth of the world's sorrow. Westminster Abbey was filled with dignitaries, celebrities, and members of the royal family, all gathered to mourn Diana. As Elton sat at the piano, the weight of the moment pressed down on him. The only sound in the church was the first soft notes of the song. His voice, filled with emotion, carried through the room. The lyrics, "Goodbye England's Rose, may you ever grow in our hearts," resonated with everyone present. It was not just music, it was a heartfelt statement of love, loss, and remembrance. The success of the song became a sorrowful reminder of how significant her destiny was. However, for Elton, it was never about praise. Diana was a woman who used her fame to shed light on the darkest corners of the world, and this was his way of honoring her memory by showing how she had lived. After that, Elton increasingly reflected on their friendship over the following months. It was both pleasant and melancholic to remember how much they laughed, how openly they talked, and how well they understood the stresses of public life. He spoke a lot about Diana, not only as a princess, but as a person who was extremely kind yet deeply misunderstood. Through these thoughts, Elton realized that his duty was not only to mourn her death, but also to ensure that her memory lived on. After Diana's passing, Elton's life changed in many ways. He became even more devoted to the causes they both fought for, particularly raising awareness about acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. He continued striving for greater understanding and compassion through the Elton John Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome Foundation, often drawing inspiration from Diana's bold advocacy. He believed that her work demonstrated how one could challenge social norms and break down barriers, and he was determined to carry on that mission. Elton found solace in honoring her memory, but over time, his relationship with the royal family deteriorated. He valued privacy, but his willingness to speak out and address issues that others avoided clashed with that principle. In interviews, Elton often hinted that Diana faced immense pressure within the royal family, describing her as trapped in a system that did not allow her to thrive. These comments, however well-intentioned, further strained his relations with certain members of the royal family, especially Prince Charles. Despite the tension, Elton remained steadfast in his love for Diana. He was there for her sons, William and Harry, as they learned to navigate life without their mother. He frequently offered them advice and support, with his bond with Harry growing even stronger over the years. Elton saw in Harry the same wild spirit that Diana had. When Harry and Meghan Markle faced their own struggles within the royal family, Elton was one of their most vocal supporters, standing by them as they carved their own path. Defending Harry and Meghan was not merely an obligation for Elton, it was a way to uphold Diana's ideals. He saw in their journey a reflection of her struggles and her desire to live truthfully. Even though this connection brought its own challenges, Elton was resolute in speaking out, even if it meant opposing the very institution Diana had been part of. Through it all, he learned how crucial it was to care for others, use his voice to bring about change, and remain true to himself in difficult times. Some of the most significant lessons he learned influenced not only his activism, but also his music and relationships. Though Diana's death caused Elton immense grief, he found comfort in knowing that her influence endured through the people she helped and the memories she left behind. For Elton, ensuring that Diana's legacy continued was not just a duty but an honor. In the years following Diana's passing, Elton remained committed to preserving her memory. Despite the passage of time, he refused to let her story fade into a sanitized version of history. To him, the princess was an extraordinary individual with unparalleled grace. His main goal was to ensure that people remembered her kindness, which was her greatest strength. Reflecting on their friendship, he often gained a deeper understanding of the stresses Diana endured. He spoke honestly about how lonely she felt within the royal family and how it impacted her mental health. These reflections were not meant to criticize the monarchy, but rather to highlight the personal cost of adhering to its rigid expectations. Diana was a woman torn between duty and self-expression, and the pressure of balancing the two took a devastating toll on her. As Elton shared more about Diana, people began to see her differently. She was not just a beautiful figure gracing magazine covers. She was a symbol of resilience who used her pain to inspire change. His words added a human dimension to her memory, revealing the woman behind the crown and the myths. While many appreciated Elton's honesty, he also faced criticism. His remarks about the royal family's role in Diana's struggles sparked controversy, particularly with Prince Charles. Elton never accused Charles of directly causing Diana's suffering, but his candid statements made his feelings clear. Elton spoke out not to provoke, but to honor the truth and ensure that Diana's memory remained intact. As he supported Harry and Meghan, the divide between him and the royal family widened. When the public disapproved of the couple stepping down from royal duties, Elton saw their decision as an act of the same courage and determination that had defined Diana's life. His support for them was not just a sign of loyalty, but also a tribute to Diana's values of kindness and honesty. His bond with Harry, in particular, provided them both with comfort. The younger prince often turned to Elton for guidance on handling the pressures of public life, and Elton's unique perspective helped him navigate similar challenges. Their friendship was proof that Diana's spirit lived on, reminding the world that her impact continued to shape the lives of those she loved. Elton remained steadfast, even as his support for Harry and Meghan put him at odds with the royal family. His goal was always to honor Diana's memory and support her sons. For Elton, the most important thing was to tell the truth and preserve Diana's story. As he reflected on Diana and the lessons their friendship taught him, he realized that she had shown him the power of connecting with others on a profound human level. These lessons became essential to him, shaping his art and relationships. Elton carried Diana's spirit through his music, activism, and interactions with people worldwide. The song Candle in the Wind from the year 1997 remains a powerful reminder of their bond and how Elton publicly honored Diana. However, for him, the true tribute lay in quieter moments, the conversations they shared, the laughter, and the deep understanding they had for one another. These memories made their friendship meaningful. Elton cherished these aspects of Diana the most. As time passed, the world evolved and Diana's influence only grew stronger. People continued to be moved by her humanitarian efforts, her ability to connect with people from all walks of life, and her determination to break barriers. Elton often thought about how happy she would have been to see how far things had come, how awareness about acquired immunodeficiency syndrome had increased, and how society had become more accepting of those once marginalized. He knew that Diana played a crucial role in these changes. Through her bravery, the world became a better place for everyone. For Elton, Diana's story demonstrated how success could be complex and how difficult it was to live under public scrutiny. But it also showed the power of kindness and empathy. Over time, Diana left an indelible mark on the world with both her struggles and her victories, and that mark remained long after her passing. Whenever Elton had a quiet moment, he would recall their first dance at Prince Andrew's birthday celebration. Though they only swayed in place, it was the beginning of a friendship that profoundly shaped their lives. That moment, like many others they shared, brought them comfort and joy. It was a reminder of how close they had been and how that closeness had helped them endure their most challenging times. Looking back, he knew that his friendship with Diana was one of the greatest experiences of his life. She had taught him the importance of caring for others, standing up for his beliefs, and being strong while staying true to himself. These were the lessons she left him, and he thought of them every day. Even as new generations learned about Diana's life, Elton always stood by her legacy. He did not speak of her as a saint or a legend, but as a person, a friend who faced extraordinary challenges with remarkable grace. Elton did not simply want to remember her, he wanted her ideals to continue shaping the future. Diana left an unforgettable legacy in the world she departed from. Her spirit was woven into its very fabric, and she would never truly disappear as long as Elton was there to tell her story. Through her life and influence, Diana proved that kindness, compassion, and honesty could make the world a better place, and Elton believed this truth must be repeated again and again. This concludes today's video. If you have made it to this point, be sure to check out the other videos on the channel.